Hey, welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Terraria. The very rare chance my ass I was literally 5 minutes ago, I'm playing this character, right? Yes, I know this is different from the character that you saw here the other day. Yes, that character is dead, and I have subsequently created a new world, and I was playing in here, and what happens? Oh yeah, by the way, I guess just randomly, King Slime decides he wants to exist. I look in the wiki. Oh yeah, it has a very rare chance, King Slime, of just randomly appearing if you're under certain conditions that are very basic. They don't have anything to do with health or defense or preparedness. You can just say, I want to exist now. If I go back into this world with this character is going to die, don't look so much at that time. I tend to leave the game on a lot, and I think it counts that time. I tend to encase my character in dirt, go away for a bit while the nighttime cycle runs its course, and then come back. But yeah, if I go back, I'm considering sending in my softcore character here to just obliterate the slime. But that kind of seems kind of cheesy. But if I go back in here, this character has, well, you can see no HP ups. I've got, that is the legitimate armor that I'm rocking, is the wood armor, boreal armor. I think once I buff with food, I'm like 12 defense, and I have a platinum bow with some flame arrows. That's it. If I go back in, and no, the biggest thing is no fighting space setup, and that's kind of the reason. Roman, why are you telling us this? Nobody cares about your off-screen character, which you're playing too much of. Well, I know, but reason I'm telling you this is that, like it or not, what's happening today is we are building the arena. So strap yourself in, because it's going to happen. Now, where are we going to put our arena? Good question. I'm thinking over here or over here. Where are we going to fish? We need a place to plant things. We need a place to fish. We need a place for our NPCs. Looks like there's more biome. We're gonna put it right here. It's gonna extend off this naturally occurring hill here. Now, the risk I also run by rocking two characters at once is forgetting how I'm outfitted with one and just rushing into an army of zombies like I would with a more advanced character, while Parvana here is still a little, nicely soft and supple and vulnerable. And yeah, boom. So what's new? Well, lots of I'm shocked. Maybe shocked is the wrong word. Appalled. Well, maybe appalled is also the wrong word. I'm slightly shocked, I guess, at the and this is where I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this is the algorithm is messing with me, or if it's a legitimate outcry from the internet regarding the last Game of Thrones episode. Because I normally, as a rule to myself, I don't really watch YouTube videos concerning stuff like that, especially a show that I'm watching. I had The Force Awakens spoiled for me, and since then, those many years ago, I am very, very concerned about spoilers, and so I tend to stay away from spoilers regarding anything, oh god, that I'm still currently watching or plan to watch. So I normally, and that includes even, I don't like prediction videos. Jeez, see, this is how quickly hardcore characters can just get absolutely blindsided in terms of death, and we're gonna have to be careful here. But yeah, prediction videos I don't like, because then it gets me thinking, even if the prediction is slightly wrong, it still gets me thinking maybe I'll make an accurate prediction, and then and I'm looking for it and I'm not really watching the episodes. That's the part that really aggravates me, is when did I get this aglet? I end up not really watching the episodes, and end up paying more attention to trying to spot the prediction and make guesses, and it doesn't add to it actually takes away from the experience. I know for a lot of people it probably adds to the viewing experience. For me, it takes away from the viewing experience, and that's just been my experience. So I tend to stay away from that stuff. But I watched one video, part of a video, prior to the episode coming out, and it was from a trusted source in terms of not spoiling anything. So I thought I'll break my usual rule. He started going into predictions, which was what the whole thing was about, but I started getting that feeling where I was like, no, this is not what you want. So I only watched part of the video, and the predictions he made didn't come true anyway. So it ended up being all right. It was Jesse Cox video, pre episode, and then I don't know if that cued something in the algorithm or what, but after the episode aired, I started getting all these, and the reason I was behind, and I watched the episode the night of, because I didn't want to be spoiled. I said, I know this is going to be a big one. I don't want to be spoiled. I better watch the episode. I have lost characters like this, by the way. Building platforms, I move too fast and end up now, what is the math on this again? Oh, I always forget. Yeah, right there. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can't get that one. I didn't want to be spoiled, so I watched the video watched the episode basically when it came out. Oh my god, this is gonna be a pain. I hate the rain when I'm trying to do things and it's raining. Watch the video, the episode as it comes out, and okay, yeah, I have my opinions on it, yada yada yada, it's fine. After I start getting all these Game of Thrones video, recap, but what does this mean? This explained, 17 details you missed, 69 the future prediction. It's nonsense. But because I had just watched the Cox one, and he put out another one after the episode aired. Plus, a lot of the thumbnails and the titles are so suggestive that you could have spoiled it for yourself just by seeing the videos. The algorithm could have ended up spoiling it for you. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Really? That's it? No, that can't be it. So I'm glad I did what I did, basically, is what I'm getting at. So I watched the Jesse Cox follow-up. Then, of course, that cues more videos. Yeah, I thought so. Cues more videos in my feed and whatnot, and it's a vicious cycle. Now my thing is just full of Game of Thrones videos. It's like I don't want this, because I want this to end, because I don't want to be spoiled. I might not be able to watch the next episode right away, and I don't want it to be spoiled. And I watched a couple of them, and that's where my error was. Beyond the Jesse Cox follow-up, I also watched a couple more that were post, because I didn't understand all the hate. Not that there was hate in the Jesse Cox video, but there was definite feelings. And that's what all the videos seem to have, that same sort of really quite strong reaction. And yeah, there were things in the episode that weren't the greatest from a storytelling perspective, kind of tropey. But I learned to live with that, and I'm just mostly shocked. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I'm mostly shocked at the outcry about who gets resolution. Right? There was so and so is going to get to resolve this long-standing stare down with the so-and-so. And it's like, well, I didn't, I guess because I never really got that sense that there was any, there was no huge animosity between, the two main villain hero. One, two. I just did this, and yet I still cannot, for the life of me, figure it out. We'll just build this wall all the way down. And we'll do it the long way. At least the rain has stopped, right? And I'm like, well, okay, but obviously you feel that there was. I didn't, and so that sort of level of hatred surprised me. And so we can't go there, so we could be there. That's my biggest complaint about this game, is it's just like, I never know. My math always ends up being off. I always miscount for room sizes, and I didn't take into account the walls, and So yeah, so and I didn't sense a lot of that. What I got more upset about was some of the basic storytelling type things, where it was like, oh yeah, I guess this is the part where this happens, and oh yeah, I guess this is not time for this yet. So right at the very beginning, it was like, really, you're still here? Like, I thought for sure when it just the whole thing was like cut to black, I didn't think I would see you again. But okay, I hope that wasn't too spoilery. But yeah, I mean, that was my kind of thing. It was like, oh yeah, of course this is gonna happen. When this big scary thing happens, then this happens. Yeah. And in terms of like the resolution, the sort of, I get it. I definitely get it. But based on what they were doing, I mean, and my biggest part with that, the final resolution, the final, like, oh, I guess it's over now. I guess the episode's over, was like, I get it, but my aggravation doesn't come from the same thing that you're right. Like, your aggravation, internet, seems to be about who got to who was the perpetrator, or the executor, the executor. I don't know how to say it. The carrier out. And mine was more about like, well, there's a whole gap in events here that if you had hinted at this, or explained how we got to this point, would have been a lot better. I'm not good at not giving spoilers. Again, go back to the old videos if you need an introduction. Who is this guy rambling along? I don't talk to people, right? I don't have friends. I don't have coworkers and colleagues. I don't, apart from my my family, both immediate and extended, I don't talk to people, and so I certainly don't talk to people about this kind of stuff. So I'm not used to navigating the world of spoiler versus non-spoiler, right? So it's a skill I don't have. So I apologize, but I think I'm doing an okay job. But yeah, so a thing happens near the end, and you're like, what? And then you're like, some people are like, I didn't want that thing to be done by that person. I wanted that thing to be done by a different person. And that person had their chance and didn't do it. And I'm like, yeah, that part of that whole, I don't like when things aren't consistent, right? And this is beyond Game of Thrones. This is everything, right? It's when a thing happens, or a thing is built up a certain way to exist a certain way, and things are told to you, that they exist and function in this way, I expect that to always be the case, right? So in every media property that has these sort of overwhelming forces against, the humble crew of a few, in the very beginning, it's always like, it's a tidal wave of death and attack and power and strength, and it's just like, everyone's like kind of crumbling. Then as the narrative progresses, it's like oh, now that the heroes are more, you know, we're telling more of the hero story now, and we have to draw things out, and suddenly that sort of it doesn't add up anymore, right? So you'll have the thing where the overwhelming odds just crash against, you know, the scrappy band of resistors, the rebels, you know, the Empire coming up again, and then it's like, oh, but yeah, you can just kind of wander around here while the death and destruction is all around, but you're gonna be okay. And it's like, that's not what you set up in the very beginning here. You set up in the very beginning that you know, death and the Empire of Death will just wash over you in 2 seconds. Now the Empire of Death is all around you, but because we're finding out, or we're focused more zeroed in on the hero, you know, you need to draw this out, and it's like, I don't like that. You know, hold back at the beginning if you're gonna go to this place where I have to believe that you know, the tidal wave breaks around, you know, certain people, and you want me to believe that, you need to hold back, you know, calm yourself at the beginning, because that is not the narrative or the reality that you set up at the beginning. And that's true of everything. That's not just, are we hiding? We don't hide for an episode, do we? No, we don't. We're going to build ourselves. What is this? I was building a thing here, it looks like. Can I beat this zombie? I hope so. Yeah, we can. Okay. Don't run. Is this Ryan? It is Ryan. And that's, like I said, yeah, that's true. That's true of so many stories. It has nothing really to do with Game of Thrones, but they you know, they always tend to fall into that kind of thing. And so I was expecting that, and when I see it happen in the way it happened a couple times, you know, same as, you know, plucky, you know, so and so is suddenly faced with, you know, insurmountable odds, but plucky so and so is relatively disposable, so, you know, they're gonna go out in X fashion, so to speak, and you know, it happens, you know. That one may be a little bit more vague what I'm talking about, but can we drain this into here now? Oh, wait a minute, I don't even know if that was the dimensions. I think these are the dimensions that I was going for, right? Yeah, it must have been. I would have set up my lines like this, yes. So that'll fill up to there. You can start to pull this line back, and then all this will fill up, including to here. So we don't really want that. We want to come in from the top. So the one thing with this game, the water physics propose interesting puzzles, and I've built a lot of little fishing areas in all my hardcore characters, so it's like I kind of, and everyone is kind of its own puzzle, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I guess we'll just start. I mean, it's gonna fill up and it's gonna get kind of watery here, but oh no, because it's only gonna go as far as this. Is that okay? I think that's okay. Is this not water up here? There's a break in the water? Interesting. So we might be able to get at it from the top, or at least cut in through here next. We'll come in and clean out this area and drop all this water over to here. We need to get this water over here. That's, I think, a missed opportunity. The only way to move water left to right is to also go down, right? So, like, we could have funneled this with like a 1-block channel. We could have funneled this over if we had been quote unquote on the ball. But yeah, so that was my sort of thing, and so, like, how did I word this before that was not spoilery? When the thing happened and everyone was like, oh no, I wanted so and so to have this thing, and then you're like, no, it's whatever. I was more concerned about, like, you set up that this was going to happen, or that this character that did get to do the thing was about to go and do something. You had this, actually a really good moment when that character was about to go, you know, kind of indicated that, you know, I'm going to go do something cool. That character left the screen, never saw that character again, and then came and did something cool. And I was like, well, cool, something impactful. And then I was more upset about, well, show me how that character set themselves up to execute that cool thing, right? That impactful thing. This was only a tiny bit. Oh, this all went down this way. Strange. That's fine. That's what I would have liked to have seen, right? Because, you know, we spent a lot of time with this character in the episode, or not a lot of time, but some time. Don't watch this if you haven't seen the episode yet, because I probably have spoiled some of it. But again, and this is why I don't like watching videos that talk about this kind of thing, because then you end up saying, oh, something will stick in my head that's like, oh, look out for this, right? And then it's like I'm always on the lookout for it. And then I try to justify to myself, oh, it was obvious that was going to happen anyway. That was what I did with the Force Awakens spoilers. I was like, well, obviously such and such had to happen. I was like, well, the one thing, yeah, with the Force Awakens spoilers, if you haven't seen the Force Awakens, but in the spoiler that I saw, it was like, oh yeah, Luke only shows up at the end for like 2 seconds and doesn't even say anything. That was the part that really pissed me off. I did not want to know that going in, because then the whole time when I would have been like, oh, when is Luke going to show up? When is Luke going to show up? And then when it finally was clear when he was about to show up, I was like, oh yeah, I already knew this. And then the other was the Kylo Ren, or Han Solo was Kylo Ren's father. I was like, yeah, I mean, I could have known that anyway, just because I knew it. It's because I was told it, you know, months before I got to see the movie, doesn't mean that it was necessarily spoiled. It could have been spoiled any other time. It was like, and he kills Han Solo, and I'm like, oh, that's a bit of a spoiler, but I also kind of knew that Harrison Ford wasn't going to be in all the movies, but still, I don't know. That one always stuck with it. Ever since that, I've been very, and then how am I rewarded? My follow-up reward is, Last Jedi is garbage. Like, that was my reward. I stay spoiler free going forward, and I'm rewarded with Last Jedi is garbage. Oh yeah, not my finest moment dealing with these. Like, cause like the Star Wars reboot was huge for me, because like, you know, that was my demographic. Star Wars was my thing as a kid, right? A kid of the 80s. That was where it's at, you know. You watch Star Wars. That was the cool. I keep saying cool today. Is it because it's snowing here? Maybe there's like some sort of subtle subconscious effect, you know, being had on me, whereby I'm like, oh yeah, it's flipping raining or snowing here, so you're gonna say the word cool a lot today. But yeah, actually, no, I was rewarded. I stayed spoiler free for Rogue One, and I don't care what anybody says. I like that movie. I think Rogue One is really good. I watched a video like well after the fact, like recently relative to when I saw the movie, talking about all the problems that movie went through in production, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, and I'm glad I didn't watch that beforehand or closely after. I only watched that once Rogue One had already been firmly entrenched in my own personal canon as being good. You know, I think that's a very good movie. You know, the specific decision to not have Jedi, to not, you know, it's, and because I stayed so spoiler free, again, so now spoilers for Rogue One if you haven't seen it. I stayed so spoiler free for Rogue One. It was like they were well into the battle on Scarif when I was like, these are the spies, right? These are the ones that bring the plans. I'm like, this is so amazing. And then I'm like, as the the exit is being geared up for, and you start to see the recognizable helmets of the soldiers or the crewmen of the ship that Leia is on. I'm like, it's starting to look more and more like A New Hope every second, every time we turn around. And I'm like, once when you're able to piece that together for yourself, you feel like it's an unbelievable amount of, this sounds like overkill, an unbelievable amount of joy, but it is very satisfying to be like, oh my God, and that feeling of discovery and awe, and that's what you're going for when you're going to the movies, right? And you're trying to remember these great feelings you had as a kid watching this stuff, and that was what I was able to get out of Rogue One. So I was very pleased with that, especially after having Force Awakens spoiled. But yeah, spoilers suck. Game of Thrones was fine. I mean, like I said, the problems I had with it are the problems I have with all narratives. I can't think of one where they build up this big thing and then had a good sort of narrative resolution to. Battle of the Bastards was okay in that respect. I think I only saw it once, so I'm going on memory here, but I liked how, Battle of the Bastards was okay. It still doesn't quite fit the mold, but anyway, we're in a new day here, which means a new video. Until next time, thanks very much. See you soon.